What's up, guys? Welcome to JS Bladecraft. My name is Joe. Thank you as always for joining me on another sword review. Very excited to be reviewing this sword. This is considered the second round of Cloudhammer swords. I reviewed the first round for them, and I was very excited to see what their second round had in store. Before I go any further, I just wanted to send a sincere thanks to Cloudhammer management and ownership, John from RVA for being the middleman for them and sending me these swords. Thank you for entrusting me and entrusting my opinion in these swords, not coming to you as a professional practitioner or as a professional in Japanese replica weaponry or anything like that, but more as a consumer, a lover of swords. I think at this point I have developed a good opinion as far as how I think these things should fit and finish, how they should be put together, and everything that goes along with it to be able to show you if this is a product that's going to be worth your money or not. Now, I was extremely happy with round one. I was very impressed with the quality they were giving you at certain price points, at the dedication of Cloudhammer to kind of be the pulse of the people, their transparency in terms of them being able to listen to the critique of their swords, the critique of things that could be done better, and taking that in stride to improve their product. They improved a lot in round two, and I'm very happy to say that. I'm very happy to present that to you. So guys, this is part of round two. I call it round two. It's a round two of swords. It's one of three that they have sent to me, very expensive swords, and I thank you guys for that. This would be probably classified as one in their premium swords, and I was really looking forward to seeing what they offered in terms of a high polish, a very well done blade, equivalent to like companies out there like Zisei and Huawei, a lot of the upper price companies that are offering some really good, well-made, well-polished swords, and they wanted to basically show me what they could do at certain price points in terms of the polish of their blades. And right from the get-go, guys, I'm very happy with this blade. So stick around, guys, to the end of this, because I really want to give you my honest opinion, and you know that if I'm not honest, I'm not anything. I'll let you know what I think is fantastic about this sword and what I think they could have done a little bit better to meet that price point of around $1,000 for this sword. Okay, so by request of RVA and Cloudhammer, I'm not doing any cutting with this sword to preserve the finish, and I think this actually might be going on the sales blocks. I attempted to put a microphone on the sword without really holding the wire, so it didn't really work out too well to try to get you that tachikaze sound, that swishing sound of the bohei, the double bohei that's on this sword. But you get the idea. I'll use a boom mic next time. There it goes. Now, I won't call this pretty much like a really light and nimble sword. It's stuff that there is some weight to it. There's some nice niku, okay, a lot of meat basically in the center of the blade going towards the how, the tip. The mune has some nice thickness to it, almost reinforced reinforced Kisaki. It's got some weight to it, guys, but it's also balanced. It's got a POB. I tested it around 4.5 to about 5 inches. You know, the one thing about Cloudhammer is they're all pretty balanced. They're all pretty much easy to maneuver and use. So I mean, you can kind of go in, change sides. It's got some good maneuverability to it. Balance is pretty good. It feels good. This one I think would be a pretty good cutter because it's got a really good steel to start with, come pretty sharp out of the box. It can be much sharper. You can make it much sharper because they do have a very good edge geometric or edge profile that's put on their blades that you can really make these things very sharp. And also, obviously, it's differentially hardened. Yes, I am very happy with the balance of the sword. I'm very happy with the length of the Tsuka, the length of the blade. Balance-wise, I think this thing would really perform very well. All right, details. The reason why my sword videos run so long is because there's so much that goes into making up one of these things, so many different parts that are put together, so much craftsmanship that goes into the blade, and then the finishing pieces, the saya, the wrap, and everything. But I'll try my best to keep it brief, but definitely stick around because there's a lot of beautiful details on the sword. All right, so first we're going to start with the Tsuka, the ska, the handle. Big improvement on this round of swords. I noticed that the Ito is a lot tighter than the other ones. Not like the other ones weren't tight, but this is exceptionally tight. I can barely move it like a millimeter, but You could also see the aesthetic and the motif of the sword, how they gave it a stained brown Samigawa, which is a really good quality. There's even some larger nodes there, and it just matches up with the colors really well. The motif and the color scheme of this sword all matches up. The one Makugi peg is always a big plus. I love having one as opposed to two. And it's not just a normal chopstick, guys. It's a very nice, embellished, painted, treated well Makugi peg. And you can't leave out the quality of the leather on the Ito, the wrap of the ska. It's different from any other leather wrap that I've seen before. It definitely looks like a genuine leather wrap that you would probably find on more expensive swords, but it's so comfortable in the hand. And so far, I haven't had any issue with it whatsoever. You notice the Minuki, you could actually even make it out that it's a dragon. I mean, most of the times these Minukis are just a muddy old mess, but you could actually make out the details that it is definitely a dragon. It's sitting really nicely and cleanly underneath the Ito as well. But the grip is great. It feels good in the hand. 10.5 inches. I prefer 11, but 10.5 works for me. Plenty of real estate to hold it nicely. The Kashira is nice. I mean, they have some of the best molding systems out there, and even though they're a little bit more over embellished and I like to see it, at least you can see the details where you need to see the details. I rather have it a little bit more subdued, but for the most part, it's a pretty nice casting system they have on all their pieces. Now, this is something I have to point out on an otherwise fantastically wrapped Tsuka. You notice that there is the wood core is exposed right around the knot or underneath the Kashira. Otherwise, the transition is excellent, but the fact that the wood core is showing and you can see the panel wrap underneath that, that's something that definitely should have been addressed or should be addressed on any future swords. It's something that really, unless you have a really close-up lens, you probably would overlook it and not see it as much. But for the most part, it definitely is there, and I definitely needed to note it. But the transitions are excellent. Big improvement on the transitions of the Kashira from previous swords. The knot is tight. It's pretty seamless between the Ito and the Kashira. Other than that uplift of the Ito there where you could see the wood on each side also. So at least it's even. But other than that, it's very good. And this is a big improvement. The improvement on the Fuchi, which I've always seen on all their swords, one side of the Fuchi was overlapping the other side, or both were overlapping the Ito. So this, if not for the dragon that's uplifted, that's protruding up from the Fuchi, it would be an almost perfect transition between the Fuchi and the Ito. So yeah, job well done, guys. Thanks for improving that. That's definitely something I noticed before. So here is the saya, guys. This is definitely the bedazzled part of the sword is this saya. This is a very good execution of a completely ray skin wrapped saya. I'm very impressed with the fact that I can't feel any seams or see any seams, or it's a smooth finish, very good luster to it. There's no ripples. I mean, as you see it turning around, you don't see a seam and you can't feel a seam. They did a really nice job in wrapping up this saya with the ray skin. Very good quality as far as what I can see. It feels fantastic in the hands, and it's definitely done a lot better than cheaper swords I've seen with the full wrap ray skin. And again, this is probably one of the major price points that you're paying for within this sword is that expertly wrapped saya. You notice the Kojiri, the bullhorn, a nice piece of bullhorn there. Again, transitions are perfect. I can't feel any overlapping or anything, biting the skin there. It's perfectly clean. The Sageo is good, guys. It's above standard Sageo that they always give, but that my pet peeve is just those freaking shitadomes, man. Guys, if we're not going to glue the shitadomes down or carve them in so they don't come out, let's please remove the damn shitadomes. They don't need to be there, because when you take this thing apart, they're just going to be dangling there, and you got to eventually remove them because they're going to scratch up your saya. Let's either glue them in so they don't come off, or just remove them completely. Moving forward, guys, thank you very much. That's for all sword companies. You notice that there is also bullhorn above the Koiguchi. A little bit of paint splatter there that could probably have been avoided, but other than that, it's a pretty clean transition there. Here's a brass Habaki. Now I had said that I'm going to be a little bit more nitpicky on this sword because of the asking price. So what I would like to see on a Habaki is just something different. This is the same brass Habaki that I've seen on pretty much many production swords. That's my fingernail test. You notice how there's just too much space in between the blade and the Habaki. Now, is this a performance issue? Is it going to make the sword unusable? Absolutely not. It has nothing to do with that. It's still tightly fit, doesn't wiggle, doesn't rattle. It holds the blade in place really well. Just for aesthetic reasons, I would like to see more of a handmade or a different style Habaki, and to close up that gap, close up that space in between the blade and the Habaki so it's a lot tighter. Now I'm going to show you a difference between what I feel is a beautiful handmade Habaki. This Habaki is from a Huawei sword, and you notice how the Habaki, number one, it's handmade, it's copper, it's something different, and you see how it completely hugs the blade. It looks like the Habaki was made to hug the blade. Now, I don't think it's a very difficult thing to do, but it's definitely something that should be highlighted in a sword of this price point. You can see how it perfectly fit over the Ha. There was absolutely no space. I couldn't even put a fingernail through there. And you see that gap or that space of the Habaki. I think that's something that should be addressed on especially a sword at a certain price point. It definitely gets a pass on cheaper production swords because the Habakis work fine, as this one does as well. I just would like to see something a little bit better. So here's the Tsuba. The Tsuba is a solid iron Tsuba. It's got nice detail for what they're trying to execute. Even though it's a little, like I said, a little over embellished for my taste, for what they're trying to execute, it's a really nice Tsuba. The casting was really well done. Cloudhammer does a really good job on their casting. The feel of it, though, on your skin, it does abrase. There is some abrasions on your skin. Nothing to that can cut you or anything. It shows a little bit of discomfort if you happen to kind of hug the Tsuba, which you're not really supposed to. But if your hand glides across the Tsuba, if you're doing a lot of practicing with it or using it, you may feel some friction on your hand. So that should be a little smoothed down. But the actual look of it is beautiful. I mean, it fits. Again, the whole motif of the sword fits very well with the color scheme and everything about it. So you can see the details in it. It looks great. So here is what all of you have been waiting for, the blade of the katana, the Nagasa. It is the most important part of a katana and the most important part of this katana, especially for the price point. It's a 28-inch Nagasa and a 28-inch blade. It's a Shinogi Zakuri because you can see a Yokote line present. It is a 3-tone polish. This is definitely something they wanted to send to me to just kind of show me what they can do with their polish. Now, the main highlight of the sword is obviously the polish is beautiful. It looks to me like cosmetic polish that I've seen on other swords, but the Homon and the amount of work and craftsmanship that was put into paint, into this clay tempering, into making this cloud style Homon is absolutely gorgeous. They call it an electric Homon or a what is actually an experimental Homon. You notice the boshi, how it terminates into the boshi, the Homon, the double fuller or the double bohi, very well executed. Look at how beautiful that Kasaki is, that boshi. You see the faint Yokote line, that could have been done a little bit better, but it's good. But the boshi looks gorgeous with that Homon going right in there. But this is where the work and the time and the hours went into making this blade, is to making that Homon. There was a lot of work, effort, and skill that was put into making that, and it's I have to say, it's probably one of the finest looking and prominent Homons I've seen on a sword. It's definitely the main highlight of the sword, and that's where the price of the sword is coming in terms of this blade, the 3-tone polish, the work on the Homon, the double fuller, the double bohi, the nice work on the boshi, the thick reinforced tip. It's just a very pretty looking blade. If you hold it to the light, you see that there's really no ripples. You see that reinforced tip, the spine, a nice meaty munet in back of the blade. It just looks great. It's a very well executed blade, nice polish, beautiful Homon, and that is the highlight of this sword. The Koiguchi, the mount of the saya where the blade goes in and out of the saya. A lot of people don't realize the importance of having a well-shaped, a well-made Koiguchi, a well-made opening. The real beauty of a Japanese style sword is how well the sword can be removed and replaced into the saya. When the Koiguchi is not shaped perfectly to the Habaki, or very well into the Habaki, you see that it actually stops there where you have to wiggle the blade in order to get in or give it a little force. That should go in, glide in a lot more smoothly. Now that is because the Koiguchi wasn't shaped the way it should be to the Habaki. Now you notice the images here, the Huawei sword, which I think was an incredibly executed Koiguchi mount. You see how clean the lines on there, the clean wood, and the difference between this particular sword. Now, does it make it bad? Does it make it to the point where it can't go in and out, or it's just not gliding as smoothly as it should be, especially in the price point that this sword is in? Now, this is an example of the Huawei going in and out. It's hard for me to I can show you and I can tell you, but it looks like it's actually going on rails. That's because the sword is perfectly fit into the grooves and it goes in and out almost automatic. You don't have to wiggle the sword or move it from right to left. There's no binding or anything like that. So that's a combination of the Koiguchi and also the saya being shaped to the blade well. So I think this little improvement, again, it's not a deal breaker, but it's a little improvement to make it a little bit more smoother in terms of sheathing and unsheathing the sword and not having any lockup when the Habaki hits the saya and it glides in the way it's supposed to glide in. I hope you're enjoying my makeshift dojo, because that's probably the closest I'm ever going to get to a dojo. Thanks to digital technology these days, I'm able to give you my dojo, so I'm hoping you're enjoying it as much as I am. I'm seeing a green screen right now, but you'll see something else, I'm assuming. So thanks guys for sticking around to the end of this. So let me give you my estimate as far as this sword is concerned. Do I think it's worth it? I would say yes, with caveats. Just because you have so many great things going along with this in terms of a really good quality blade, really beautiful three-tone polish, the Homon, the feel, the balance of the sword, the beautiful ray skin wrapped saya. I would honestly say that this sword is worth the price tag. Again, with a couple caveats. You know, the binding and all that. I mean, I can feel it even sometimes when I go in. I have to kind of position the sword, tilt it in a little different way because it doesn't really sit right on there perfectly to be able to go in perfectly fine. So other than those caveats, guys, I think this is definitely would classify as a premium quality sword from Cloudhammer Steelworks, with a couple of things they could do different to make this thing better and really make it worth that price point. This definitely fits that $1,000 price category with so many good things going for it, but a couple little things that they could improve, and they could definitely make this a very good premium quality sword. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this review. Sorry I didn't do any cutting with it by request of Cloudhammer. Just definitely want to preserve the polish because I think this will be going on sale. So this will definitely make somebody very happy. Okay, it is a very gorgeous sword and I wish I could actually keep it myself. But this is going back to Cloudhammer and it's probably going to be going on for sale. So if you guys are interested, contact RVA Katana. I'll leave all the links in the description of this video. If you're interested in this sword or anything else that Cloudhammer sells, you can definitely deal with, straight with John from RVA Katana, which is a dynamite guy, and it's awesome that we have a guy in the States that we can deal with, and he will help you in even making up a custom sword and things that maybe you're into. Good premium quality sword from Cloudhammer. Very happy with the improvements they made on round 2, and I have 2 more to go, guys, so stick around until I make up those reviews. Hopefully I'll be cutting with at least one of them, probably the Damascus model, which they said I can cut with that one, so I'm excited to see how that works out. JS Bladecraft, thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me on my videos. Much peace, love, and respect to each and every one of you, and I'll see you on my next sword or knife video. Have a good one, guys. Ciao.